A lot of things have been going on in the past weeks. We have experienced genocide in a lifetime, in real time, and our options of action are pretty limiting. Those who swear to represent us turn their back on us and our common values. Hundreds of thousands of people had taken to the streets in the last week, with almost no effect in the position of our government. As you watch this, Israel's state is continuing to genocide the Gaza population, a long-lasting genocide that has been going on for almost 70 years, achieving now one of its most aggressive stages. Recently, a veteran of the Palestinian cause has been popping up in left circles. We all know him. We all know Chomsky's stances, his position, and his speeches on the Palestine oppression. And that's nice, but we are all forgetting another point made by Chomsky that is more relevant than ever. The concept that made him famous, the manufacturing consent by the media. And I believe that it's more important than ever. We have been experiencing an enormous campaign of manufacturing consent never seen since the Iraq War. From small channels to big media outlets, especially the big media outlets, of course, all the discourse that is had is always in the liberal spectrum, deprived of any value. It's a gigantic masturbation of liberal ego, in some cases even becoming full manifestation of liberal schizophrenia. And don't illude yourself, there's no real dialogue or discussion going on in the media. Even if in many cases when there are two opposite sides, it's nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It's just two liberals that don't agree on certain details, and that is served to us as a debate. A mechanism used for a long time by the media, when it presents two different people having a discussion on a controversial topic, while in reality they're both on the same page, being the disagreement only aesthetical, thus creating an illusion of free speech, which we all know is not a vague idea that liberals use as a justification of their moral superiority, while simultaneously censoring everything and everyone that doesn't comply with the narrative. We all heard stories of people getting fired out of their jobs, professors and students suspended for their views on Palestine, and many of us even get to experience it. I have a friend who worked for a big supposedly left media company in Europe, and he told me that since the beginning of the conflict, censorship has been implemented in it. Certain words are prohibited when talking about Palestine, and certain words are mandatory when talking about Israel. This is not so much for the internal purpose, but more to filter people, to not allow those who don't comply with these rules to achieve a microphone position. Because remember, censorship is not only about prohibition. There are some rare cases when someone from outside of the liberal spectrum gets to the microphone, but he forgets that he is just an exotic animal brought up only for entertaining. His opponent, his host, is the master of the cage. Every word he says is subverted and turned against him, only for the next day to be the star of the newspaper, to demonstrate nothing more than his savageness, and by consequence of those who is trying to defend. They call the other anti-Semites, forgetting that the majority of Jews march with us against this genocide. They forget that the anti-Semite is who creates the Jew, and in this case they are the anti-Semite. They created the new Jew, a Jew that is that of nothing more than a state of Israel. So everyone who expresses open hate for this state, a state that is committing genocide, who is oppressing the natives, who in many cases oppresses its own population, is branded as an anti-Semite, taking away the status of Jew out of those who march in the streets against this genocide, even if their own religion is Jewish. They use useless slogans, empty slogans, that are nothing more than performative action, that is used by so-called truth tellers, like Israel has the right to defend itself, an idealistic slogan that sounds good, while in reality meaning nothing. Apparently, liberals forgot their own laws and their meaning. Since when the right to defend itself belongs to the oppressor? But wait, Israel is not the oppressor, they will shout, because in the liberal bubble, nothing more than the last 3 months exist. They have a memory of a goldfish, or are completely subverted by their own schizophrenia. As we all know, the history has ended. and its current speech is nothing more than a manifestation of it. A time where history and material reality doesn't matter. They force you to condemn an attack made by a part of an oppressed population who is living in an open-air prison, whose entire existence is dictated by the existence of the other, of the superior race. They force you to adopt their narrative, to call them terrorists, subhuman, and for their resistance, nothing more than execution should be given to them and the entire people, forgetting the hypocrisy in it, because the same words that I used could be applied to Hamas and to the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, where the Polish Jews stood against their oppressors. Hamas doesn't represent the Palestinians. They don't speak for all the Palestinians, but they are Palestinians. They are the sons of that mothers, the mothers of that sons. They are those who have been forced into this life of struggle. They are those who are born without tongues, those whose only language is violence, not because they choose so, but because we force them into that. We mourn the victims on both sides of the prison wall, but we deny that there are babies and women only on one side of the wall. But let's not forget that all blood, in the end, is in our hands. It was us who created this monster. It was our people who were their sent. It was with our bricks that the apartheid walls were built. It was our bullets who made fathers cry over their daughters. Don't let the recent tears elude you. Our hands are full of blood. Our child grew up to be just like us, barbaric, racist, genocidal, all in an aesthetic of culture and moral superiority. But don't let this demotivate you, because you don't have that right, and neither do I. Bombard the social media with posts about Palestine, but more importantly, march out for the Palestine with me. March with my Jewish and Muslim comrades, because we are not outnumbered, we are unorganized. This is not a war, this is not a conflict, this is a genocide that's been going on for 70 years. Never forget. Solidarity to all.